Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Saturday live question and answer class, part 2. I started class with a microphone issue, so if you can rejoin, I hope you'll find me again with this live stream. I was talking about the vowels and that we often spell with letter U. So please feel free to leave your questions at any time in the chat, and you can watch, if you're watching as a replay, you can leave questions in the comments. So let's talk about these two vowel sounds. They're often spelled with letter U. The vowel is also often spelled with OO, not often, but in certain words like good and book. It can also be spelled with OU, like in should, could, or would. So what I want to contrast is how when I'm saying should versus shut, it's a very different sounding vowel and a different shape for my mouth. The vowel is rounded and the back of my tongue is high and lifted. Should. For the shut, my tongue is more central and relaxed and there's no lip rounding. So that's the main difference between these. If I have put versus putt, my mouth is a little more open for putt and it's not rounded. Put, I have that lip rounding. Then bush versus mush. You can hear the sound unrounded, the sound rounded. My lips are lax but still rounded. Okay, and so this sound, vowel schwa, the stress schwa, can be spelled with lots of different letters. The letter U is the most common, but we also have letter O, letter A, lots of different spellings for the sound. So if you're having trouble with the difference between put and putt, for example, use another word with the sound to help you, like some putts, or should put, or could put, trying to match those vowel sounds. You can get more help for the versus the vowel, each of these sounds individually in my videos for those sounds, as well as in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. It's going to walk you through all of the different vowel sounds, as well as all of the consonant sounds, how they're spelled, how to correct any error patterns you may have on them, what common words they're in. It's a great way to build a strong foundation to pronounce any word you like confidently in American English, to understand all of the sounds of English. So I hope you'll check that out. All of our online courses are either free or available for under $2, so they're a really good resource for you. We'll come back to vowels, but I want to take your questions now. If you have questions about the and the you can ask, or other unrelated questions, feel free to put those in the comments and I will come to them now. And I apologize for the error on the first video today. Hopefully you are all able to find me and rejoin. Okay, so we have a question about the sound before nasal vowels. So the as in black cat, tends to sound a little different before an n, an or an ng sound. So you'll notice if I'm saying black versus ham, black, ham, it really is the same vowel. It's just that that nasal sound may make the vowel sound rise a little bit. So when you're trying to say these, I would recommend just trying to think of it as the same vowel, like using that ham, that man, that hangs. You can hear it most clearly in ng sounds like hang, rang, sang. I'm not changing my vowel. I'm not saying hang or hing. I'm not really moving in this vowel continuum. I'm not moving more closed. So we have the, again, if I had bit, bet, bat, I can feel the jaw is more open. The front of the tongue, there's more space between the tip of the tongue and the roof of the mouth, and the back of the tongue stays lifted. Bit, bet, bat. Then when we add ng, if I had, for example, bing, bang, bang, It's still the more open, the most open for the ang, but you can hear how that vowel gets a little bit nasalized, and it sounds quite different. So if I'm saying cat, bang, bang, you can hear that it sounds a little bit higher and more nasalized for the ang sound. Really, when I'm doing the ang, my tongue is still in that same position with the tip of the tongue down and the back of the tongue lifted. It's just the influence of these nasals changes how the sounds. So this is something where I think just working on being able to do the clearly as open sounds. You can also try saying, like, if you're saying a word like hang, just try saying hat or ha with no vowel, with no final consonant. Hat, ha, hang, hang. You can hear it starts as the same vowel. It's just influenced by that ng sound. So you shouldn't have to make any change to the vowel. It will happen naturally because you're doing the or the n or the sound. Okay, thank you. That was a great question. It's definitely something that's does affect that vowel sound, and it can be challenging for people. Welcome back to those of you who were in my initial class with no microphone. My apologies for that, and hopefully you'll find me again and rejoin. You can ask your questions at any time in the chat. Okay. We have a question about the SH and CH sounds. So the sh and ch. So the sh and ch. And your question is, the teeth come together, the tongue lifts up. A tongue can be seen touching between upper teeth and bottom teeth. So when you're saying ch and sh, you feel like sh, ch, like your tongue is sticking out a little bit. That could be due to the length of your tongue, but generally, the difference between the S sound, s, and the SH sound, sh, is that my tongue should be pulled back more, and it shouldn't really be approaching the teeth. So if your tongue is visible when you're doing the sh sound, the tip of the tongue is too far forward, it might be that it sounds a little bit more like an S sound. So you really want to make sure that when you're saying a word like she, it doesn't sound like see, that the tongue is not coming too far forward. And then with ch, if the tongue came too far forward, it would be just more like ts, like a TS sound. So like if you were saying a word like cheese, it might sound more like tsees if your tongue was too far forward. The CH sound does start with the tongue lifted behind the teeth in the position it is for the T sound, and then it drops to the SH sound. The difference here is that this sound can't continue when I'm saying ch, like which. I can't hold that. It's just one sound that pushes out, versus the word wish. When I do the sh sound, I'm not blocking the air. It's not an affricate sound. The sound can just continue and flow. And for this one also, the T doesn't continue, but the S would, like wits. Again, I do have some videos for SH and CH, and it sounds like when I'm saying sh and ch, with neither of those sounds do my teeth fully come together. So ch and sh. My teeth are close, but they're not closed. So it's okay to have the teeth apart for those sounds, but you don't want the tongue too far forward. If you're making the sound and it sounds correct and you can see your tongue, don't worry about it. It's really about the way the sound comes out and that it's easily distinguished from the other sounds. But if you're finding that maybe people have trouble understanding you or you're not super accurate on those sounds, those mouth cues may be helpful for you. Okay, great. So thank you for being here, everyone. And I'm glad that helped you. That's really great. I want to just take a moment and we'll talk a little bit longer in hopes that some people will be able to rejoin us who were in the first class. And then we will be meeting at the same time next Saturday and subsequent Saturdays going forward. So I apologize for the error this morning. Let's take a look at another topic. We'll take some, please feel free to ask your questions at any time, and I'll go ahead and cover a few other requests, recent requests. So we had a question about the word rapport. And while we're at it, let's talk about the word report, because these have somewhat similar spelling and sounds, but some differences. So in the word rapport, the T is silent, rapport, and the letter A says the vowel schwa because it's stressed on the pour syllable. So we, letters OR do say or, so it sounds like rapport, versus report, rapport. So rapport, this letter A is a schwa. It's a clear, unclear or reduced vowel. In report, you're going to see it in the dictionary with an I sound, but it sounds very similar to rapport because in these words that have an unstressed first syllable, we're not using a clear vowel there. So it doesn't matter so much if I use an sound or an I sound. In this one, I don't really want to be a clear I because it should be a schwa. It's not rapport, it's rapport. In report, I can use either an I or a schwa because it's very short and reduced. So sometimes it can be helpful to even think about it almost as though it has no vowel, like report. Because I think sometimes when people see that E, they might have a tendency to want to say report. And even if you asked a native speaker about this, how do I say this sound? They might think it has an E sound in the beginning, but when they're speaking, I need to report that. I wrote a report. They're not going to use report. That would sound unnatural. They just don't realize themselves that it has that reduced I vowel. So thinking of it as report, you may still end up kind of using an E sound there if you visualize it this way, report, either with the schwa or almost no vowel, it's very reduced. That can help you. The other suggestion I have is for rapport, say the word pour and then just add your r sound. Pour, rapport, or say the word port, report. And what you'll find for report also is that we don't always say that T. At the ends of words, Americans often use a stop T, report, where they'll go up to make the T and they won't release it. But you will hear a difference between rapport and report, even if I'm not saying the T, because in this one, because there's no sound, my or can be nice and long. In report, my or is going to be short because I'm stopping the air to mark that T sound. So we built a lot of rapport over the years. He wrote a report about it. Okay. And thank you for that request. The person who requested that is maybe not watching, but I will direct you to where that resource can be found. Okay, we have a question about whether there's a W in how are you. So in the word how, the W is part of the ow diphthong. As I say, how are you? What typically happens is that when I'm going from a rounded vowel like an ow to an unrounded vowel like are, how are, we naturally link those two together and we do end up with a w sound in there. How are you? If I was looking just at the IPA for how are you, you wouldn't see the W there. You would just see how are you? How are you? But anytime we're moving from a rounded vowel to an unrounded vowel, how are, how is, you are going to hear a bit of a gliding w sound as we connect between vowels. So I don't have to be intentional. I don't really want how war you, war with a strong W, but I do want to naturally move from ow to r, how are you, where a glide will come in. So yes, there's a W there. Don't insert an extra W, just naturally link. If they were unlinked, how are you? No W. So if I was saying, for example, how are you? And I might make a little break there. We naturally, though, more commonly link between those two vowels, and there's a gliding w that sneaks in there. The other kind of gliding that we do is between, not for rounded vowels, but like in an example would be saying something like he is, moving from that unrounded E to the I sound to connect those vowels. We end up with kind of a Y sound. He is. Again, I don't want to say he is with a strong Y, but naturally linking between the vowels, he is, he isn't, we would have that gliding Y sound. So you can learn more about vowel to vowel linking in my video for that and in some of my online lessons on speechmodification.com. But that's a great question. Thanks so much for bringing that up. Okay, great. So nice to see all of you here today, and I look forward to seeing you again in tomorrow's Word of the Day class, as well as next Saturday. We'll be live once again with our question and answer class. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone.